Hello, everybody, and today we are going to talk about communication and cooperative principle, meaning crisis maxims. Christ states that when we communicate, we assume without realizing it, and that we and the people that we're talking to will be conversationally cooperative. We will cooperate to achieve mutual conversation ends. This conversational cooperation even works when we're not being cooperative socially. So, for example, we can be arguing with one another angrily, and yet we will still cooperate quite a lot conversationally to achieve the argument. This conversational cooperation manifests itself, according to Price, in a number of conversation maxims, as he calls them, which we feel the need to abide by. These maxims look at first sight, like rules, but they appear to be broken more often than grammatical or phonological rules are broken. For example, we will see some instances in which we will see how this happens. However, it is important to talk about how Grice's most influential contribution to linguistics is his theory of implicatures. He describes communication as adhering to what we call the cooperative principle, also referred to as CP, and argues that a basic underlying assumption we make when we speak to one another is that we are trying to cooperate to construct meaningful conversations. Grice's cooperative principle has been a central and controversial theme in pragmatics. A major source of controversy associated with the CP is that the term cooperation is open to different interpretations. Essentially, is it really that we are cooperating with one another when we're having a conversation, when we're trying to communicate? What if the actual intention that we are having in a conversation is to miscommunicate? Nevertheless, Grice's work is remarkably interesting and can help understand and analyze many discourse interactions from a very interesting perspective. For example, here are the four maxims that Grice came up with. The first one is the maxim of quantity. Here is the one in which the speaker tries to give the most helpful amount of information. It has to be neither too much nor too little. It has to be just right. However, when people often have issues with this, either they share way too much information, or they share not enough, or they don't share at all. The idea is that we always remain in the best realm of amount of information. As opposed to that, we have the maximum of quality. You essentially try to say things that you believe to be true. You avoid to say things that aren't true. So this one seems kind of simple, right? Like then it would be just telling the truth. But it's actually is a bit more than just telling the truth. It's more about maybe when somebody tries to avoid um, a question by saying something that is perhaps not entirely accurate. That would be failing the maxim of quality. Now, we have the maxim of relation. This has to do with relevance. If you join a conversation, it cannot be about whatever. There is already a topic or a theme presented. And if the conversation is about one topic, but you want to talk about another topic, you have to wait until the right moment for you to actually change the topic. You would have to, most of the time, try to stay within the topic or within the frame in which the conversation actually already is. Now, when we talk about the maxim of manner, it has to do with how we try to always say things in the clearest, briefest, as more and more orderly way possible. So it's like writing an essay. If the essay is overly extensive and it waffles often, then obviously we will be penalized for this. But if we are straight to the point and we are very concise, we might get better grades, better marks. Now, we have talked about how maxims are very important in speech, how Grice thought that they are basically the base and how discourse can be effective, but it can also be regarding how it can be ineffective. How so? Well, there are two ways in which the maxims can be broken. They can be violated in the same way that we violate a law, but maybe not necessarily in a completely deceitful or exaggerated way. Okay, it might be like you try not to give too much information about something because you don't want to reveal too much of it. So it's kind of like you're aware that you're breaking these maxims or any maxim, but you're not doing it so exaggeratedly, or you don't want to get caught by doing it. Now, when people flout maxims, this means that they are doing it in a way that they don't care if they are noticed or not. The use or the breaking of the maxim in this case is absolutely flagrant. Now, how do we understand this? Well, we have this example. We have a conversation between two students. Actually, it's a very short exchange. Two students, A and B, are talking about other students. And one of them asks, "Do you like John and Kate?" And the other interlocutor would answer, "Kate is fun." So, what Gracie maxim does B flout, and what is the implication that follows from that flout? In this case, we have that B flouts the maxim of quantity by answering a question about two people as if it were a question about just one of them, because she says Kate is nice, but says nothing about John. We can infer that perhaps B is implicated that John is not fun. So by excluding John, B is actually flouting this maxim. Very interesting. In this other example, we have two married university lecturers that are talking about who is going to get the children from school. In the case of A, he says, "Who is picking up the children today?" And B answers, "I've got a meeting at 3:30. So, what maxim is being flouted here? The one that is being flouted would be relation. Why? Because by not giving the identity of the person asked about in the question from the other interlocutor, the implication then is that B cannot pick up the children because of the work commitment, and is therefore suggesting by extension that A should. Now, moving on to another example that is quite a bit more complex. This one is an extract from The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. So the context here in the exchange that we are about to read is that one of the characters, Algernon, has just told his friend Jack that he had invented another friend called Bunbury. So this character being made up by Algernon is used in any situation or any social situation that Algernon wants to get out of. So from this example, this excerpt that Algernon is having a conversation with Lady Bracknell, he is trying to give some sort of excuse from in order for him not to be able to have dinner with Lady Bracknell. Of course, there are many things here to pick up. How Algernon is using this made-up character as a way to get out of this social commitment, and also other important elements, which takes us to trying to identify then not only what maxim is being broken, but what type of breaking is done. Is it a violation or flout? And what type of maxim is being violated or flouted? In this case, we have that it's majorly a violation. Of course, and then that the type of maxim being violated or flouted would be quality. However, this example has several layers that makes it quite more complex. As we can see, more than one maxim is broken. So first, we talked about how quality is the one that is being broken because of the use of the made-up character. However, manner is also violated since Algernon is being overworthy about all of the excuses that he has and, puts all of his speech in a very exaggerated and almost difficult to follow order. The way that he is organizing his thoughts and his discourse is quite confusing to the interlocutor. In conclusion, although Grice's theory seems to be quite biased towards the idea of cooperation, the theoretical foundation is solid and perhaps misinterpreted, given that the cooperation could be understood as a goal and not necessarily as an unbreakable fact that is part of our society. That is to say, that sometimes it is our intention to miscommunicate, and violation or flaunting of these maxims could be a goal rather than just a mere mistake. Whatever the cause of the context, this work makes our understanding of discourse much more keen and aware, which is always a hefty tool to have ready at hand. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Here is the list of references. See you all. Good day.